Hello everyone, and welcome back to the illustrious Dillon with a Blanky channel, where I'm back with some more of those sweet content reviews. For those of you who aren't aware, I started live streaming on twitch.tv/Dillon with a Blanky. Started making a priority to build an audience over there, and that's what I've been doing for a while. But I have returned with some hot new content for you. If you want to stay in the loop and see me play these games before they go live, you can check me out at twitch.tv/Dillon with a Blanky, where I'll play the game first and then do the review later. Currently, I'm on a journey to play through every Tales game. We've gotten pretty far and you don't want to miss the end of it, so be sure to stop by. But for the love of God, bring your own blankies, please. And now for our sponsor. It's me! I'm Sponsors! Go check out my website where I make t-shirts, both for my channel and for others. Do it.
Let's contain our dreams!
It all starts here. The first of a legendary series of games, Tales of Phantasia. Tales of Phantasia is a Japanese role-playing game that first launched for the Super Famicom in Japan on December 15th, 1995. And then it launched over and over and over again. And it wouldn't be until March 6th, 2006 that North America would finally get to experience this game in its entirety in English on the Game Boy Advanced. And a little while after releasing in North America, it released in Europe and Australia respectively. And we all finally got to get an official taste of where Tales had started. To put into perspective how late that we got Tales of Phantasia, we had Tales of Destiny, Tales of Eternia, Tales of Symphonia, Tales of Legendia, and Tales of the Abyss before we ever got to look at this one. And when we did get it, this was their first attempt at what they gave us.
I dwell amidst the abounding light of heaven. Thou art at the gate to the underworld. What the heck is that? It ends here. Indignation! Can't be.
But fortunately, we won't be talking about that godforsaken Game Boy Advance version. And honestly, we won't be speaking about the Super Famicom version either, which probably leaves you to think, Dillon, which other English games are there of Tales of Phantasia? Well, there aren't really any. I'm going to be talking about the PlayStation version, which has an unofficial patch. The PlayStation version released in 1998, and it's by far my favorite way to have experienced Tales of Phantasia. The only way to play this version, though, is through an unofficial English translation. This translation was created by Absolute Zero, and honestly, I've been playing this version for many years, and it's still my favorite version. Which may be cheating since I'm doing a review, but honestly, the Game Boy Advance version is super silly, and I just...
Heck is that?
This is Tales of Phantasia for the PlayStation! Let the epic adventure begin. Our journey starts with a flashback of a group of adventurers fighting and sealing away some all-powerful evil entity by using magic and 2 pretty keychains. Remember those, they're important. Afterwards, we flash forward 10 years, where we find ourselves in control of Cress? I like chess? Whatever. Cles Alvain, son of Miguel and Maria, of which Miguel was the swordsman of the flashback group, and the mom was somebody, hopefully not the archer of the group. Cles and his best friend Chester Barclay are about to leave town to go hunting in the forest shortly after we gain control. During this time, you can talk to everyone in the village before heading out, just to get to know people before you go to the forest for some good old hunting. But maybe it's better you don't. That's right, some dudes just straight up killed everyone in your village. And with that, it's time to set out and avenge our family. Chester stays behind to bury the dead while Kless seeks out his uncle, who subsequently sells him out as he's being forced to work for Mars, the man responsible for the destruction of the village. After being apprehended, he finds himself in a cell and is freed with the help of a mysterious dying woman, and he meets Mint Adnade, who joins him in escaping this prison together. Guess we won't mention that to her ever. Once they escape, they meet up with Chester and seek out Morrison, aka the mage of the previous group. He tells them that their parents helped him seal off Deos all those years ago, and the key to breaking his seal are the two pendants Mint and Kless carry. But oh no! Of course, they're gone. Fast forward to the villain breaking the other villain free. And of course, as soon as that guy's revived, he kills the other bad guy. Goodbye, revenge. And with no hope of defeating Deos as it stands now, Morrison sends Kless and Mint into the past by 94 years, and yeah, Chester doesn't go. Who needs an archer? In the past, they find that Deos is wreaking havoc even in this time, so to stop him, they recruit Arshklein, a cutie-patootie mage, and also Klaus Lester, who's a summoner. After gathering a few summons and working their way to Deos' castle, they fight with him. However, he escapes. You kids and your time travel. And the fearsome foursome head to the present together. They arrive at pretty much the same moment they left and save Chester and Morrison. Here they put Deos down for good. Psych! He's dead in the present, but he still exists in the future because paradox. So now the group travels 50 years into the future from the present point to stop Deos for good. On the journey, they find that the Eternal Sword may be the only hope for putting Deos down for good by stopping his timey-wimey hip-hop. After acquiring the sword, they head towards the castle to prepare for the last showdown. But all's not so black and white. For here it's found that Deos was trying to save the Tree of Mana, Yggdrasil, from dying. And the direct cause of the tree's decay is humans using fossil fuels, causing them to burn a hole in the ozone layer, which is rapidly causing global... What? What? Oh, it's magic? Got it, okay. Never mind. Magi technology which drains the life force of the tree so quick it can't replenish it, and without this tree, his world of Darius Karlon will die. After a hard-fought battle, the party finally finishes off Deos, and they say goodbye as Arsh and Clarth return to their past, and in a final act of mercy, Martel, the caretaker of the tree, sends a seed of Yggdrasil to Darius Karlon in hope of saving them. Obviously, I didn't bleed out every single detail from the story, but that's just a generalization of everything so far. I barely mentioned the ninjas, the warring kingdoms, the climate change. Let me tell you, it hits hard, that beginning section. All the stuff that happens in the beginning is within like 10 minutes. Immediately, your family's dead, your village is razed, they kill Ami. It's just a staggering amount of motivation to start off a game with. Like, I felt like I needed to avenge everybody myself. And even though you hate everything that's happening, you can't help but feel bad for Deos by the end. And honestly, only a really good story can pull something like that together to make you feel for the villain. Now, while the plot itself does a good job of keeping you engaged, I don't feel the same about the characters. Clark talks most for the group during main story events, and, you know, no one else really says anything during those times. Arsh is just... well, she's Arsh. You think Kless and Mint would be the main characters, but they rarely talk. They only really talk to each other. But where the characters shine and really become much deeper is within the various skits. You see, throughout the game, you will get a prompt to press select, and there will be a skit between the characters. This could range from, like, cooking food, or doing something perverted to another character, or finding something in a village that relates to their past. And this alone is the reason I recommend the PlayStation version. It has all the skits added to it. The Super Famicom original version did not have skits, which was, you know, it was the first game, so how can they have known? But they added them later, and it really, really works. But you get everything between these characters, from playful conversations to painful revelations. And with these, you can really gauge the growth in the characters as they go through the story. Combined with well-paced story elements and a handful of strife for everyone to go through, you have what makes a great game and a great story. While it's still pretty JRPG generic, with two kingdoms fighting each other, gather this to do that, racism against those goddamn half-elves, I think by combining it with the time travel, you get a story that's truly unique, especially for the mid-90s. Because at the time, they were like the first ones to do it. Phantasia is almost as standard as JRPGs can get outside of battle. You control your character movement with the D-pad, you can talk to people in villages to learn lore, maybe sometimes find some secrets, or peruse shops. You can go to the main menu by pressing triangle, and from here you can mess with characters' in-battle abilities, equipment, items, change the partner AI tendencies, and also change formation on the battle screen. We also have titles which are earned a variety of different ways, such as viewing certain in-game events, achieving some record in a minigame, and so in a way, titles are achievements before achievements. Pretty cool. They help increase certain stats, so mix and match titles for the best buffs. The cooking menu is a must-use, as it allows you to heal your party when you find yourself deep in a dungeon without using necessary items for battle. You can also cure status ailments and improve your stats for the next battle this way. And from here you have status, which shows all your character stats and how anime kawaii desu they are. Customize, which lets you change various options for the game, and saving at the very bottom, which can be done either at a save point or anywhere on the world map. You know, save for select moments in the game. Most battles are random encounters, which means when you walk around enough... Now comes the best part. Tales of Phantasia introduced what is called the Limbs battle system, which has stood the test of time, being reused and updated for every subsequent Tales game since. Limbs stands for Linear Motion Battle System. For its first iteration, you and your enemies are set on a 2D plane and interact in real time, which means, and I know this may be a shock to most people, but you can dodge. You can have full mobility in battle, which is such a freeing experience when all you know typically is wait your turn, do your move, wait again till the order circles back. Not here though. Oh no, baby. Let's fight. Circle is attack, which changes whether you're holding up, down, or side on the D-pad while attacking. Square is to defend against incoming attacks, and triangle lets you open the menu, which allows you to use your items, change strategy on the fly, and move formation, which is good for having the AI stay back. Damn it, Mint! Why are you like this? And finally, we have abilities. Now, you can set all these to X, and you can swap certain abilities to different inputs, just like with attacking. You have neutral, up, down, and side inputs to use. And these are yours to set. Whatever you like, do it! You're in total control. Just be cautious of that TP usage. Yeah, see that bar there? That's TP. See that? That bar? TP magic. Congrats! You're a gamer!
Yeah.
Now with all that knowledge, we can unleash our ultimate attack. Ice Needle! You can also change playstyles if you want. There are 3 modes of play, which are manual, semi-auto, and auto. Manual mode allows you full control of the character's mobility, and semi-auto will always cause you to dash in and back automatically after attacking, but you retain control of everything else. And auto is, well, it's letting the game play itself. Good for grinding. And you aren't limited to only playing as class. Want to see what healing is like when you actually avoid enemies? Mint. Want to see what summons actually look like because you'll use them? Clark. Want to struggle a lot? Chester. And as cool as summons are, I just wish that every summon didn't take a half an hour. You got this, Clark? Alright. This game has so much freedom. It's a blast to play. Every battle is so satisfying. Every NPC has some special item or lore, which means that going around talking to everybody isn't completely meaningless. There's so much to do and so much customization to do in such an old game. I honestly can't think of a time where I got bored playing Tales of Phantasia. I never got idle and never felt like I wasn't doing anything. The only way around this crab is to get him to come all the way out. Come on, crab! Just leave! I'm begging you! I want that chest so bad! Every boss is so great to fight. You definitely have a lot of times where you'd be thinking or using strategy a lot to win a battle. And even if you don't want to do that, you just hunt for cheese strats. The combat feels so good. I find it truly hard to get bored at any point playing Tales of Phantasia. This game set the bar really high for JRPGs at the time, because it showed there's more than the typical turn-based combat and that you can actually do something else with it. And that's without even mentioning that the game is multiplayer. That's right, you can play with your friends at the same time. No waiting for turns. Someone could control the mages. Someone could be the main character. It doesn't matter. And that too, you don't even have to be the main character. And I also didn't mention that if you die, you get to be a ghost. Look at this. Look at that ghost. Look at that little ghosty boy. He's so cute. Oh, did I mention the combat? Because look at the battles. Oh, look at this. Look at that. Oh, he's using the ice needle. For fear of DMCAs, I'm going to have to keep the music portion of this brief. But the music in Phantasia is fantastic. Every location is really brought out by the music accompanying it. Even with age, it sounds fantastic.
Stop!
You can tell that the music was a huge focus and really brought to its full potential thanks to Motoi Sakuraba and Shinji Tamura, who I believe are still making Tales music even today. The stages themselves are a little generic in nature, but at the very least, some of them have some interesting mechanics involved to keep them from being just that cave, or fucking ice cave! Aside from the final dungeon, you have a very basic setting cast, which is starting village, cave, volcano, cave, desert, cave, and finally, cave. Oh, nice. While I do think the settings for this game were very weak, you gotta remember this game was made in the mid-90s. So at the time, I'm sure all of these locales were still very interesting and very fresh. But at this point, you know, we've all been there, we've all seen them. Now while the settings are basic, what really sells them is the music combined with the unique, albeit sometimes tedious puzzles that made each of these settings really different. I really enjoy the fact that each location embodies whatever element you're chasing, like when you're hunting for Syl. There's a lot of wind mechanics. When you're going to get a free, there's just lava everywhere. So whatever you end up with dealing with at the time, wind, ice, fire, earth, you name it, there's an ordeal to overcome, and then you have to fight the master that controls that element. And while traveling through the game, the only time I really felt I was doing the same thing over and over again was in the Moria Mine, which is a post-game thing. And I mean, if you look at it closely, every dungeon in the game is really just a hallway with branching paths. That's just about every dungeon in this game. They just swap the backgrounds depending on where you're at. But it pulls it off pretty well, and I rarely noticed it, honestly. Aside from all that, I really enjoyed traversing Astalia's towns, world maps, seeing everything it had to offer. Any of you heard that battle theme? Now this game has content, and it's all pretty time consuming, so I'm just going to highlight what the biggest things are. There's a mess of item quests, so I'm not even going to attempt to name every single one of them, but most of these just require talking to a certain character to obtain secret gear or buying abilities for quests to learn. You typically buy these abilities for quests from random soldiers around the world map. There are 4 extra summons in the game to find for Clark to use, starting with Shadow. who can be found in his own dungeon, Asuka, who is in the ancient Thor civilization, Gremlin Lair, which is in Moria Mine, and finally Pluto, the strongest of summons at the very bottom of the Moria Mine. But if you end up getting him, you're at the point you will never ever need him. The most interesting of all dungeons I have to mention real quick, though, is Shadow's Dungeon. The Cave of Darkness, which utilizes this really, really cool mechanic of using a blue, red, and green light to solve puzzles. You have to, like, mix and match them together to be able to see invisible things, and then you get a puzzle that tells you, like, push this here, or, like, you know, do this and that to get this to open. And it's one of the coolest and most unique puzzle types I've seen in any Tales game, and, honestly, any game I've seen in a while. And nearby to the Cave of Darkness, there is Graham's Treasure Hunt, which is started by talking to a man in Freeskill Bar. He'll give you A of Flight's notes, which will tell you where each treasure is located on the world map, so it's a nice little scavenger hunt. There's 22 in total, and every location has varying loot. In this version of Phantasia, you can unlock Suzu as a playable character by speaking to one of 2 NPCs who tell the location of the ninja village, and once you head there, you will start the quest that ends with her joining your party. We also have 2 final smashes for Kless. The first one you get by sleeping in Miguel's village in the future, where you will automatically learn it, and the second one Kless learns after clearing my favorite part of the Tales games. Here it is, the introduction of the arena, or more specifically, Euclid Coliseum. Here you'll fight a wave of 8 enemies with only Kless, and a limited amount of time. Every time you win and attempt another time, the enemies will become stronger and the payout will be even better. Do this 10 times and you will fight 2 secret bosses and gain Kless's second High Ogi, which is a reference to Stans from Tales of Destiny, the one that came after this. This should only be in versions past the Famicom versions because, well, it's from a sequel, so it wouldn't have been in the first game. Speaking of versions, brace yourself for this because we have the OG SNES version, the PlayStation version, a Game Boy Advance version, a PSP fully voiced version only released in Japan, a mobile version, Cross Edition for PSP, also Japan only, the PC release, and there's one for the Game Boy Color too. That's interesting. It's a lot of releases, which all of these have some significant differences, and as I've researched here is what I found. The SNES does not have Suzu as an unlockable character, or the Hyogis, and also it doesn't have skits. Game Boy Advance version is supposed to have everything the PlayStation version has, with some added side quests, and when you jump to the Cross Edition, there's a new added character, a female swordsman known as Rondalyn Effenberg. And since most of these games aren't in English, that's about all I can tell you of the differences. There is a good amount of stuff to do in this game. And that's just talking about the bigger things to unlock in the game. In Thor's, there's a shooting game as Arsh. Oh wait, I'm playing a game? What is this? Ah! Nani! Oh my god! Ah! Ah! There's an item that increases or decreases your encounter rate. Thank God. Lipstick that grants you random item discounts in shops. That's honestly one of the coolest items I've ever heard of, honestly. Just lipstick. Unlimited. And you just get a random discount. Ultimate weapons for each character, and so much more. I myself did most of these, but I can't guarantee I did everything. I spent about 44 hours on my file, and I got all the summons, all the good weapons, probably skipped a lot of skits. Oops. I definitely didn't get every title. But I ended up with over 400 items and a beefy class. Even after you've cleared the main game, or even if before you've cleared the main game you want to do any of these, it never feels like a diversion in your progress. Everything's almost specifically and perfectly interwoven into the game. The only real out-of-the-way experience for me was going to get Pluto at the bottom of Moria Mine, and that's because you have to go down 10 flights, 10 more flights, and then all the way back up, no heals, no saves, no dying, or you restart. It just took way too long to do that side quest, but aside from that, I had so much fun doing everything in the game, from simply chatting to NPCs to going to get some of the strongest spells and creatures in the game. I also forgot you could find spells for Arsh. Totally forgot about that. Tales of Phantasia is an amazing experience. I'd be lying if I didn't say the first 10 minutes of the game didn't hook me and have me ever since. I was shocked that they immediately killed off all these people. It was the scene of Ami alone that invested me right off the bat. It was like I was her brother and I had to avenge her myself. And as you go on, you really become tied to the land of Icilia and all of its strife and problems. You really feel like you have to solve them. To date, the Tales series has my favorite JRPG battle system. of all time. It just feels so great to be able to go where you want, do what you want at any given time. Just so much freedom. You can just feel the power behind every single hit. And for a game made in the 90s, the AI team had better options than, well, Donald and Goofy doing Kingdom Hearts, and, you know, thanks for that. Battles really come to life as you progress, and bundled with the side quests, you're easily going to sink a good 40 to 50 hours into this game alone. Everything about Tales really hits home, and it's a textbook classic. I highly recommend checking it out and experiencing the game for yourself. And with that, I'm going to give this game a rating of...
You're pretty good.
It's one of the greatest games of its time, and it might be a bit old by today's standard, but it's still a fantastic game and worth every minute you're going to put into it. Thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate every one of you for supporting me. And like I said before, if you want to join me on my adventure of playing through the Tales games, check me out at twitch.tv/Dillon with a blankie. I'll see you guys there.
Indignate!
Definitely have some battles. You definitely have some... Do you like how I do that every time? Ugh. I just do that. I've gotten better because I used to swear every time. I used to be like, fuck. Now it's just the tongue thing.